I think I've given it long enough. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the July monthly meeting of the Green Party Trade Union Group. It's great to see you all on a Monday evening, which is a bit of a change for us. But we're absolutely delighted to have you here, and we're absolutely delighted to be hearing from a very special guest as well, Jordan Rivera, who is an occupational therapist in Homerton Hospital, which is in Hackney, has very kindly offered to come and speak to us this evening. I'm sure Jordan will introduce themselves perfectly adequately, but Jordan is deeply involved with all the organising that's going on around NHS pay disputes, and in particular organising for a 15% pay rise for workers on agenda for change contracts, which is an ongoing struggle and one that the Green Party Trade Union Group has been doing its level best to support and will continue to support in the coming weeks and months through thick and thin. So we're absolutely delighted that Jordan's offered to come and speak to us today, and I'll pass over to them in just one second. Before I do, I will say if by any chance you don't want to risk your face being sort of caught on camera or being caught in the recording of this session, do feel free to turn your video off. That's fine. But we are recording the first section of this meeting so that we can make it available to people who can't make it on the evening. Okay, so you've heard plenty from me, and I'm going to pass straight over to Jordan, who's going to introduce themselves and the workers campaign that they're part of. Over to you.
Right, I think I've unmuted myself. Can anyone hear? So yeah, thank you very much for inviting me to speak. My name's Jordan Rivera. I'm an occupational therapist, and I work at Homerton Hospital in Hackney, and I've worked in the NHS for nearly 15 years now, and most of that time I worked on an elderly care ward. So over the last year, we've been campaigning all over the country for a significant pay rise for NHS workers, and there's been fantastic demonstrations. We've had banner drops on bridges. We've really steeled ourselves to speak to the press as much as possible.
Soviet biology in particular. As a consequence of this,
that one.
In propaganda, Stalin.
Excuse me, if you're not speaking, would you mind muting yourself? Thanks.
Sorry. We've had public rallies. We've had protests outside hospitals, and individual unions. They've all got their different amounts that they're demanding from the government. And sadly, they couldn't agree a single figure to campaign for. But we're all clear that the NHS workers do deserve a significant pay rise. And so I'm myself in unison, and their claim is for a £2,000 flat rate. But I've also been very involved with NHS Workers Say No, and they're campaigning for a 15% pay rise. And my own feeling is that it's not contradictory, to be involved with both, and that these claims and groups, yes, they're not asking for the same thing, but they all are saying we're not being paid enough, we don't feel valued, and the government should be pushed to pay us more. So yeah, I've been involved with the campaign for since last year. So like a lot of other people, I was looking out in April for what the government would propose to pay us as a pay rise. And I never anticipated such a pathetic pay award as what the government announced they'd be prepared to pay us, 1%, which is a disgrace. So I was talking to our ward clerk that day, and she said, it's like you go to a restaurant and you leave 10p for the waiter. You're just trying to insult them, and you're actually trying to say you don't think they've done a very good job. And that's really hard. That's really hard for us because, we've been through hell and back in the pandemic, and my colleagues just felt really angry when that announcement came out. So some of us posed on the ward for some photos in April, and we had a big sign that said, "We're worth more than 1%." And I put it on Facebook, and at that time it was shared over 1,000 times. And since it's kind of going round again a second time now. So I felt a little bit worried at that time about what the nurses in the picture would think. So I kind of thought, oh, well, one of them, she's nearly at retirement. Maybe she won't know. It's gone viral. Well, no, I came into work and they were all like, yeah, we've been talking to our friends. Someone saw me on Instagram. I've been WhatsApped. And, I thought, oh, no, I was really worried about what they think. But they were like, oh, I'm so glad it's spread. It's terrible. How dare they offer us that? So, they were completely up for it. And it's no wonder really, because twice my ward now has been turned into a COVID ward, and just people are so incensed about what they've been through, and the public are incensed on our behalf as well. So I do need to talk a bit about what we've been through with working with COVID and how it's impacted us. So last year we went through a time of incredible fear. All the wards installed glass on the bays where the patients were, to isolate those areas from the rest of the ward, and that work had been needed to be done for a while, and it was just done straight away at the start of the pandemic. And as a union rep, I would go around the wards and I'd talk to people about, have you got the right PPE? I was giving them leaflets, I was seeing what was going on, and I just saw nurses frightened to death. They were outside the bay outside the glass, and not in the bay. Every time they had to go inside the bay to help a patient, they were so frightened. And a nurse said to me one of those days, "Now you can tell who's a real nurse." And, as if being a nurse means that you should be expected to be prepared to put your life on the line without proper protection. And at that time, the RCN came out with some guidance that people should be able to decide for themselves whether they think they should withhold care if they're not provided with suitable equipment. And our chief nurse, she said, "Oh, I'm very disappointed by this." And I still find it so hard to forgive her for that, because she's essentially saying you should be obliged to put your life on the line, put yourself at risk to carry out your job. And that's easy to say if you personally aren't working clinically and you're not the one going on the ward and feeling that frightened, because none of us felt that wearing surgical masks was proper protection. And you'd see staff doing all kinds of things to try and stay safe. They were like wearing 2 masks on top of each other, or they'd have a cloth mask with a surgical mask on top. Or like me, I had a very small supply of FFP2 masks that I have got a friend who works in B&Q, and she got these masks for me. So even that is not what you should be wearing, which is the higher spec FFP3. That's what they were wearing in ITU, but it's still more than what we were being given. And I only had 10 of these masks, and I was thinking, oh, what should I do? Should I use them up? Should I ration them? And I ended up sharing them with my colleagues, and we were wearing them when we thought we were in the most risky situations, and of course they didn't last long. And it was just such a frightening situation every day, traveling to work. We were just traveling on deserted streets. And that really intensified the impression that we were the ones carrying the burden of trying to defeat this illness. And no wonder we were so shocked last summer to find out we weren't going to be getting any pay rise. Expected at that time to put our lives at risk for no reward. And then this year to find out the government only thinks it's worth 1%. And thank goodness that the general public don't agree with this. So polls show that 62% of the public think we should get a substantial pay increase. So in between the first and the second wave, and now after the second wave, there was a lot of work, the work that wasn't done because the NHS just can't cope with dealing with COVID at the same time as doing its normal work. All of that work was postponed and put on hold. And all of that work has now just come crashing down on us, and we just can't cope with it. So our workforce is decimated. We've dealt with unprecedented amounts of death and fear and pressure, and it's left people really shattered. Even before the pandemic, people were dangerously understaffed, but hearing about the biggest waiting list the NHS has ever known about, it's just awful. I feel so bad for patients. And even worse, we keep coming across people who are in very poor health because they weren't treated in the pandemic, and it's really heartbreaking. And that's the reason the pay rise is really important in the NHS, because we need to invest to stop this short staffing. And it's not just that a pathetic pay rise leaves people feeling unvalued, it's also that people can't afford to live, and better wages are being offered abroad, which means that you can't even tempt people to come and work here. Our pay's already been held down over the last 10 years, and that means the value of our pay has dropped by 20%. Many people work additional shifts every month to try and raise their salary. I myself, I work 2 extra days every month, and it's not like to save up to go traveling or something like that. I needed to pay for school dinners and uniform, normal day-to-day things. So I talked about the anger in NHS workplaces, but now's the time we need to think about what to do with that anger. So we need to build up power, and we need to keep the pressure on and build for a strike. And we need to get around our hospitals and talk to people. So health workers do need to be careful about going on strike, but that doesn't mean that we can't do it, and we should get ready. So at the minute, we're currently awaiting the outcome of the pay review body's decision about what we should be given as a pay rise. So remember, the government stated it could only afford 1%. So that was back in April. And they announced that at the start of the period of time the pay review body were considering what to do. And that was making it clear, really, that they were only prepared to offer us a pittance and see how we would react to that. So ever since then, we've been awaiting what the outcome will be. And they've dragged on so much longer than we ever thought they would. And we're literally expecting the outcome now either tomorrow or next week, Tuesday. For some reason, we think it's likely to be announced on a Tuesday. And we're anticipating they're going to offer us around 2%. That's being talked about quite widely. And apparently that's what's been budgeted for. So the current situation within unions is, well, I can only really speak for Unison, but I think it's the same in the others, is to have emergency meetings straight away to discuss what next steps should be once the announcement comes out. And I think a public outpouring of support for NHS staff will be really influential on these talks. And I would ask supporters to keep an eye out for the announcement and be vocal on social media about what you think of it. So we have some actions planned. There's a member of NHS Workers Say No in Wales called Matthew Tovey. He started a petition. You might have seen it on change.org. It's got about 800,000 signatures on. And that calls for everyone to be given a 15% pay rise. So if you haven't signed it, have a look for it. You can just Google Matthew Tovey and the petition will come up. So yeah, look it up and sign it and share it as widely as you can. We're planning to hand that in next week to Parliament, and it could be that it coincides with the announcement of the PRB. So we're planning to do that on the 21st of July, probably in the afternoon. But if you sign the petition, you should be getting you should get updates about it. And then this week on Wednesday the 14th, I see Keep Our NHS Public. They're holding a protest outside Parliament as well between 12:30 and 2:30, while the NHS bill is being debated in Parliament. And if anyone's free, I would really recommend going to that. So I haven't talked much about that bill, but it's clear that it's really bad news for the NHS as well, and it's going to push increasing privatisation. And my own personal experience has been that that's very, very bad for services, for staff and for patients. So I would recommend joining Keep Our NHS Public and look up their statement on their website. So yeah, those are the things that I thought I'd say. So thank you so much for inviting me to speak. I just feel really honoured to be asked to speak about our campaign and really touched by your support. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Jordan. And I think speak for everyone when I say that the honour is ours, and we'll be with you the whole way. I've put the petition. I put Matthew Tovey's petition in the Zoom chat, so please do click on that if you haven't already signed it. Do that now, because then if you opt in, you'll get updates directly from them, and you'll hear about everything when it happens. The Keep Our NHS public statement is widely available online. It's also on the Green Party Trade Union Group website as well, so you can find it there. But yeah, please do take a look at that and get behind the actions that are coming up. But yeah, I'd just like to say thanks so much again to Jordan for coming to speak to us. It's really important that we stay in touch with the workers on the front line, and yeah, we'll be with you the whole way. The one final thing I will say on this is that the trade union group has started a WhatsApp group that anyone can join, and that's for Green Party members who want to get involved supporting all these campaigns in their local areas. On the 3rd of July, we managed to get a couple dozen local Green parties out supporting the various demonstrations which are taking place, but we want it to be twice as big, 3 times as big next time. So please do join that WhatsApp group. I'll put the link in the chat and get stuck in. But yeah, I'll finish by just saying thanks again, Jordan. And as we discussed, feel free to stay around or leave if you need to, like whatever you need to do. Thanks again. Brilliant. Okay, so from the onto our next item on the agenda, which is just to point out just to highlight the committee reports that we shared with all of you ahead of the meeting. I'll share the link to the agenda document which has those committee reports in it. And this is just a space where you can raise any questions that you have about the reports that we distributed. They've got reports of recent events, some upcoming events as well, and also a couple of very brief reports from trade union liaison officers from across the country. So I'll just copy the link to that and put it in the chat again. But yeah, if anyone has any questions, I'll leave a short space of silence where you can raise your hand using the Zoom function or pop a question in the Zoom chat as well. And I'm just going to drop the WhatsApp link in as well for anyone who's not already in that. Yeah, thanks very much, Ken. Yeah, I saw some great photos from Cardiff on the day. Martin, I can see you've got a hand up. Do you want to speak up?
Yep. Just wondered if we knew any more about the Green Party nationally and its perspective on the NHS bill that's coming up and that demonstration on Wednesday. Are the Green Party supporting it officially? What's their line on the NHS bill?
So someone else might have more to say on this. I'll say for my own part that I've not had a conversation with either the staff team or with the external communications coordinator on GPEX about that particular bill. I expect the sort of the parliamentary position will have been expounded by Caroline Lucas, so I'd probably look there. I expect that it will be full-throated opposition, but I haven't had a conversation about it, so I don't want to pretend that I know. Danny, I can see you've got a hand up. I can't hear you, Danny. I don't know whether that's just me though.
Always have this problem. When I first log into Zoom, it defaults to the microphone, which isn't the microphone that I'm using at the time, so I've managed to switch microphones. Yes, last week I attended a meeting of the Green Party Political Committee, which included Caroline Lucas. It had Jonathan Bartley, Shan Berry, Peter Craney, who's the health spokesperson, Amelia Womack, Shan Berry, and various others. And the health bill came up at the last minute as an AOB. And during that session, it was agreed, first of all, that the political committee would discuss it more fully at its next meeting on the 26th of July. But before the meeting closed, Rosie Sexton said that she personally was working her way through the bill, and I've had a look at the bill. It's, the best part of 300 pages from memory. And she was concerned that the Green Party ought not to react in a knee-jerk fashion in the way that she believed other parties and news outlets were doing. She said this has been portrayed as a Tory attempt to land grab in the NHS and to ready the NHS for privatisation. But in fact, she said the bill is much more complex and much more nuanced. I feel that that is not the case. I haven't read all of the bill in detail. I've had a quick look at it, but I've read a number of assessments from leading organisations representing healthcare professionals all over the country. Every one of them has grave reservations about it. They have reservations about the fact that contracts can be awarded without any tendering process. And of course, that would be fine if we were absolutely confident that all of the contracts would be awarded in-house, but who has any faith that that is going to happen? And similarly, when it replaces the clinical care commissioning groups with these new integrated care systems, ICSs, we know that the Minister will have the power to appoint the chairs of these new ICSs, and in all probability, in some cases, will appoint people who represent the commercial interests of Big Pharma. So I think that there are grounds for serious reservations about it. Caroline Lucas did not get an opportunity to say anything about that, other than to stress that, of course, in Parliament she is moving the bill to bring the NHS fully back in-house. Whatever fortunes that will experience, that is, I think, the closest thing to an official Green Party position we have collectively just now on this issue. But political committee will discuss it on the 26th, and it's of slight concern that anyone's thinking that the bill is something that ought not to be rejected wholesale and outright. But that's the latest position as far as I'm aware.
Thanks very much, Danny. Yeah, and we'll keep an eye out for the agenda ahead of that next political committee meeting, which I wasn't able to attend. I'd be interested, sorry, just as an aside, if there are any minutes taken and shared from that meeting, I'd love to see them. I'm not sure whether that is the case. Are there any other questions that anyone has? Just about, well, either on sort of general questions or on the various reports that we just shared. I can see two hands. I think Becky got there first. So Becky, do you want to ask your question?
It's just to follow on from what Danny has just said. Is there an opportunity for us maybe to put something in regionally? I know where I am down here in the southeast that there have been quite a few campaign groups, primarily because of the very bad reports that have come through from the local hospitals, particularly with midwifery and the death of babies. These reports that have recently come out. So maybe if we as a trade union group can work with our trades councils to maybe put something forward that could be push our national leadership collectively. That's all I wanted to say.
Thanks very much, Becky. Yeah, and I think I don't know. One thing I'd suggest that we could do if we wanted was, I guess in the first instance, well, for one thing, we could write to the Green Party leadership, who form a substantial part of the political committee, to express our clear stance on this if we wanted to. The chairs of affiliated groups like this one are able to attend political committee meetings, so I could also attend and sort of express our position on this verbally if we have one. And so that's something that we could do, I suppose, in the first instance. But certainly, I think if I don't know, does anyone know whether there is already a draft motion that has been put to trades councils or union branches in opposition to the NHS bill? It wouldn't surprise me, but it may not already exist. but that's certainly something that we can look out for. Martin, sorry, you had a hand up.
Yeah, I was just thinking that obviously the political committee is going to discuss this after the first reading of the bill, isn't it? So in terms of our position...
Second reading, sorry.
Pardon?
Second reading.
Second reading. So as the Green Party Trade Union Group, do we want to adopt a position anyway, formally? I'm not sure that we have done that. And perhaps lead the Green Party leadership by the nose, really, on this. I don't know if Larry's got any information as the ex-spokesperson on this. Or do you not want to be dropped into it, Larry?
I can't tell whether Larry's trying to speak. If you are, Larry, you're muted.
Yeah, I think he's trying to find his unmute button.
Okay. Any luck? I don't know. Let me just check whether there's anything we can do. Hang on.
Larry's off mute now, I think. You were off mute for a second, Larry. You've gone back on mute.
Okay, I think I'm all right. No, I'm afraid I don't know. I'm actually not anymore the health spokesperson. You probably know Peter. My memory is the new one, and he's very good. The thing I wanted to raise at this point, when we're talking about getting the campaigning up a notch, the Green Party has in the past been affiliated with Keep Our NHS Public and with health campaigns together, both of which, in my opinion, are wonderful groups and very effective and knowledgeable. And I wonder if this working party might like to suggest the amounts of money are not enormous. They mostly are kind of variable, but at the low end, perhaps we should ask the party to rejoin.
That seems to me anyway to be a really interesting and good proposal. Just the one comment I would make, I suppose, I don't think we formally, while we haven't formally sort of agreed to support to oppose the NHS bill, we have uncritically reposted the Keep Our NHS Public statement on our website, which sort of implies very strongly that we agree with them and we oppose the bill. I would personally propose that we A, keep that statement there, and B, share that statement more vigorously as a sign of our clear opposition. I would also propose that we write to the political committee expressing our position, or perhaps at least write to Peter Craney first to see whether Peter is aware of, for one thing, just to get Peter's viewpoint on it, but also to see whether Peter knows which direction this is going in. Danny, sorry, you've got a hand up.
Yeah, sorry, just very briefly, in connection with Larry's suggestion, I know that Keep Our NHS Public is avowedly a non-party political organisation. So whilst we can endorse them and support their messaging, I'm not sure that we could formally affiliate to them. I don't think they necessarily accommodate affiliations from political parties.
Okay, so I mean that's something I think at any rate to explore and see whether that's basically possible. Larry, sorry, go ahead.
Did Danny say that we might not be, as a political party, be able to affiliate? The answer is that we can affiliate as a political party. We have done in the past. If we want to be affiliated with KOMP, we can do it.
Okay, so I guess, yeah, sort of conflicting reports, but we can certainly examine it. I'll just ask quickly, what do people, so does anyone else want to speak on the proposal that we keep promoting that statement from Keep Our NHS Public, and that we write to Peter Craney about the position the party takes. Becky, I can see a hand.
I'm part of South East Kent Trades Council, and we have it amongst our keep the NHS Public amongst our groups, because we have a sister who's a Unite member at Trade Union Rep, and she usually keeps us appraised of that. So I think although they are not a political group as such, they come under the remit of being a community group, a community-based group, and therefore that's why the Trades Council is able to support them. So I think we could probably take that line as well, and continue with the support that we've given up until now.
Thanks very much, Becky. Does anyone else, well, firstly, hello to James, who's just joined the meeting. Just for James's benefit, we are discussing what to do with regards to the Green Party's position on the new NHS bill, which is going through Parliament, which is posed by Keep Our NHS Public. So does anyone else have any other views they want to sort of make known on the question, on the proposal that we write to Peter Craney to establish their view on this, and to keep expressing our opposition to the bill in line with the Keep Our NHS Public statement, which we've already shared on our website? I can see a hand from Rachel Arnold. Rachel?
I'm not sure how you're going to fit this in, but at the moment I'm supposed to be having physiotherapy. I didn't have enough physiotherapy for a shoulder operation in 2014. So every now my neck messes up for months. And I only found out this summer by talking to an occupational therapist what physio I was meant to have. And I live right next to the hospital where I had it before, but I've been put with a private company without me asking to. And when something went wrong, I went into the local hospital, said, oh, we haven't got your details. This is a Connect Health I'm with now. And they have had 2 physio sessions with them over the phone. And then I was meant to start physio 2 weeks ago by video with a gym, but they didn't send me the link, and no one answers the phones. I got a text saying, oh, if you've been told your physio is by Zoom, follow this link. It took me to the main website and the complaints page, believe it or not. Yes, that does make my friends laugh as well. So Health Watch are on to them, but no one's answering the phones. My neck has messed up again this week, and I really want to sort it out. But I went to fill in the complaints form on the Connect Health website this Sunday, and the submit form wouldn't work. And no one's answering the phone, so I don't know what to do at the moment. But when their clinic is open, it's not in the hospital next to me, it's somewhere else. But it's like I'm experiencing it, and it's like really awful. Nice flashy website though.
Firstly, I'm really sorry to hear you're going through that, Rachel, and thanks for sharing. I can't tell. I could see someone. Jenny, is that a hand raised? Yeah, Jenny Linsell.
Yes, hello. I'm not in this group, but I'm trying to keep up with what's going on in the Green Party, because I've moved to Wales and I don't know anybody here. But it interests me very much what Rachel just said, because the relevant thing I would think is that means that the NHS is paying for that. And we need to collect those kind of stories, because there's a heck of a lot of money just being poured into these inadequate services. And it's, yeah, I think that to me is the important point.
That's what my local hospital said. I said, I can't afford a private company. I said, oh, the NHS the NHS pay the private company, so they are getting a lot of money. But I mean, I can't afford to keep going through this. You know, they can't even get their website going well.
Yeah, it's just from my perspective anyway. You know, another reason why, you know, just another example of privatisation ruining things. You know, both costing the NHS a lot and also well, ruining patient care in so many ways. I'm gonna propose that we go ahead and write to Peter Craney, who's the health spokesperson, keep expressing our opposition to the bill. There seems to be, I don't want to presume, but there doesn't seem to be any opposition to that in the room. Please do raise a hand or pipe up if you do disagree with this. But I think that seems to be the way we're headed. And certainly at the next meeting, we'll report back on sort of what position the political committee, the Green Party political committee, takes at their next meeting, and we'll also hear back from Peter, I hope, as well. We could perhaps invite Peter Craney to come and speak to us as well, because I think if we are going to be supporting NHS workers' campaigns, then it would be great to hear from our new health spokesperson directly as well, so that it's not all just sort of mediated by emails that I keep sending. Just before I go to, well, actually, I'll go to Jenny, and then can people raise their hands in Zoom after Jenny's spoken? People raise their hands in Zoom if they agree with that course of action. Jenny.
Yes, my kind of never was happy with having leaders hat on here. What happens if the political group doesn't actually actively support and is a bit wet about the whole thing? What will the trade union group do then? Because personally, I think you should speak up loudly and just do your thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. I suppose for now, from what Danny said, it sounds like most of the political committee would, you know, is minded to oppose the bill. And I don't want to presume because I wasn't in the meeting, but it sounds like there was one fairly prominent voice, you know, that disagreed. I suppose what I'd hope is that we'll hear back from Peter Craney. Peter will reassure us that the Green Party, you know, the Green Party leadership is going to be opposing this bill full-throatedly. And when Peter gets back to us, he'll be able to confirm. I suppose if at that political committee meeting it goes the other way, then I think we would have to consider quite carefully what we do, because I think you're absolutely right that we need to raise our voices to support workers and also patient treatment as well. Does that sort of, it's not a very good answer, but does that sort of answer yeah, cool. Okay, so can people raise their hands somehow if they agree with what's being proposed? Yeah, okay, sorry, it's always really unscientific, but that looks like a forest of agreement. That's a weird metaphor. Sounds like people agreeing. Okay, so that's great. Okay, so I'll do that, and then, well, amongst us, the committee will do that, and then we'll get back to you well ahead of the next meeting. But thanks very much to Danny for raising the issue of political committee and also the NHS bill as well. It's really important. So thanks for your vigilance there. Okay, I think we're coming to the end of our written agenda for this meeting. So I'd just like to say, well, I'll just say firstly, thanks to everyone for coming. It's been a really good discussion, and I'm sure you agree. It was great to hear from Jordan, from Homerton Hospital, and from Unionism Rep as well. And please do stay in touch with us. If you haven't already, join our WhatsApp group where we're supporting local parties to take action in support of the various campaigns we've been discussing here. yeah, stay safe and stay in touch. I can see a couple of hands in the chat, so if you do need to head off, please feel free. But I'll go to Philippa Fleming first.
Sorry, that I must have not unraised my hand. I'd just like to say that, yeah, it's the same for physiotherapy in Bedford. You know, we get re-referred, then Circle Health don't bother calling you for that referral, and then you have to then get re-referred. So, you know, it's happening all over the place, and it's just absolutely awful. But the other thing I would like to say, I do have a song that I do have permission to use from a band called Alternate. That's Mark and Nikki Archer. You can find it on the Luton and Bedfordshire Green Party website. You can download the song, and you can also go and watch our slideshow. And I've left the links in the chat if anybody wants to go and download those and make your own slideshows. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Philippa, and thanks for organising. Well, thanks for organising a green presence at the Bedford Hospital demo as well. It was great to see the pictures coming through. I can see there's a hand raised. I don't know whether it's a residual hand, but Fancy, did you want to add something?
Yeah, sorry for being late. I had an unforeseen circumstance that made me late. So, but I wanted to reiterate something that I said in the committee meeting for the members. Two things. Basically, one related to health and trade unions in general. So, if there's any sort of concerns within you notice within unions, or any sort of returning back to work which is making you feel uneasy within trade unions, or you know anyone who feels like this, getting them in contact with me so we can get those views expressed if you feel like it's something that the Green Party or us as a group should be talking about. So that could be any sort of field of work, as long as it's related to, you know, COVID, coming back to work, and you feeling some sort of trade union should need help or support with that. And the second thing is, obviously, we've just had the news that Jonathan Bartley is stepping down, as well as you know, some elections for GPEX sort of memberships as well. So I just wanted to say, if there's anyone who feels like that there needs to be some sort of, especially with the leadership, what's in it for us, you know, someone who's standing up for us, how is their leadership going to include trade union and the labour movement, or anything like that. If they feel like, you know, I want to know more, it's great that this person's standing, but, you know, what's in it for us, basically. Let me know about that as well, because I'm trying to get some questions given to those candidates who are standing for GPEX, as well as for the leadership as well. Try to get some hustings style things done in the future as well, where possible. So and also it'd be nice to see, just for the far future, it'd be nice to see those who, if you're able to attend the Birmingham conference in October as well, because that's what I'm from. So it'd be nice to see your faces as well there, if you're able to attend in person as well. So thank you.
Thanks very much, Clancy. Yeah, it's a really good point about GPEX elections and leadership elections as well. So thanks very much for raising that. I think I actually forgot to include this in the report, but another thing I just want to highlight before I forget is that the trade union group has written to the candidates for Unite General Secretary with our questions, because we want to make sure that our members feel confident they're casting their vote for a left candidate who will support militant workers' action and climate justice. So we'll hopefully be getting answers from the candidates very soon, and we'll publish those on our website. So if you're a member of Unite, or if you're just interested, do keep an eye out for those responses when they come. Brilliant. Okay, well, I think we're coming to a natural end. So thanks to everyone for coming, and I'll hopefully see you all very, very soon. Thanks, everyone.